That's what I use crashes for, is to accent different things that I want to hit, or if it's just tempting, I go, ooh, shiny, and I hit it right. But other than that, you would use crashes to accent things specifically in the song, like if there's a Yo, what's up, everybody? Dylan with E7 Music School. Today we're going to be breaking down Last Night by The Strokes. So this is a pretty easy song in terms of what we're doing. There's not a whole lot of changes. It's a lot of rinse and repeat. So other than the couple fills that we're going to be doing in here, a lot of it's just the same stuff a lot of times. So if you're a beginner, this is a great song for you. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So at the very beginning, you hear we have that fill, just a quick 2 snares, and then we're into the beat. So right there, all we're doing is just 2 snares, and then we land on the 1. So kind of like the joke, you know, when you do a joke, kind of like that, but end on the hi-hat. Okay, so after that, then we get into the actual beat. Let me just go ahead and show you that without music. So that's what we're going to be doing for the intro, and then that beat's going to come back again later on in the song. So for the intro, actually, all we're doing is bass snare 3 times. So 3 of those, and then we have the ending part of that measure, which is, so you have bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass and bass snare. Bass and bass snare, right? Bass and bass snare. And you want to have that you want it to be a little swung. Okay, so just a little bit of that, but nothing crazy. You don't want it to be like, right? You don't want it to be like super swung. So other than that, we do that beat. We just repeat that. Cut. So how many times do we repeat that beat? So now that we got the fill and the beat, let's just go ahead and see how long we play that for, and then we'll go over the next part. So here we go. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom, and then we're into it right there. So on 9 and 10, when we play those, I want you to raise your hi-hat like ever so slightly to stop it from being closed into more of a heavy hi-hat. So heavy hi-hat again is when both of the cymbals are rattling against each other. It's not all the way open, it's not all the way closed, it's in the middle. It's heavy, right? So that 9th and 10th measure, just when you're playing it, you just open it very slightly, and it gives this kind of gradual crescendo effect, okay? So do that there, and then after we do 10, we're going to transition over to the chorus beat. So here's the chorus beat right now. I'll go ahead and play it for you guys, starting at 23 seconds. So that's basically the chorus beat that we're going to be doing there. All it is technically the same beat as before with a slight difference. The actual chorus beat is going to be played like this. So instead of doing 3 basses, we're going to do 2 first, and then the bass and bass snare, right? And then we end it with 1 more bass snare. So that would sound like this: bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, bass, snare. One more time: bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, bass, snare. This is a good time to talk about prep stroke also. So if you don't know what prep stroke is already, it's basically a preparation stroke. So what you're doing is getting ready to hit the drum that you want. So in this case, we're going to be using it for the bass drum. All you're doing is this. So that preparation stroke, when I'm hitting that second snare, like bass, snare, I'm lifting my foot on that snare to be able to kick immediately afterwards so that I'm not lagging and I don't have this kind of thing happen. Watch when I do it without prep stroke. Right? You see me have to like jerk my foot up really quick. It's still doable, but it's much, much harder to do it like that other than just getting ready for it, right? So if you need to practice it a little bit slower speed just to get that coordination down with that, just watch my right foot. Bass, snare, bass, up, bass, and bass, snare. So up on that snare, and then down for that bass. Bass, snare, bass, up, bass, and bass, snare, bass, snare. And that's the beat, right? So we're going to do that measure a total of 3 times, and then for the last 2 measures of the chorus, all we're doing is bass snare for them. Okay, so 5. Okay, so that chorus is just going to repeat a couple times. Let me go ahead and play it for you guys with music so you can see what I mean. So backing it up again to 23 seconds, let's go ahead and take a look at that chorus. 1 more time. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so you can see right there, it's just back to the first beat, and then we're going to go back into the chorus again after that. So there's 2 things I want to touch on first. So we're doing that loop for the chorus a total of 3 times. Okay, so that whole 1, 2, that whole 5 measure loop, we're going to be doing it 3 times in total. And on that third one, let's just go ahead and jump to it really quick. So pretend we're in the 3rd rotation of that. So 3, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to do a flam right there. So just zooming in on that fifth measure, 5, right? We just do a flam instead of the normal snare there. Okay, and then we're back into the verse beat again, and this time there's a small change here. We're going to do an extra bass on the very last measure, okay? So that extra bass is going to go in the 8th measure. So let's just cut like halfway through to the 5th measure and play all the way to the end. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then back into the chorus, right? So that fill right there that I do is really optional. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of fills in this song. That goes with crashes too. There's not a whole lot of crashes, right? So let's just give a slight mini music lesson here. So when do we use crashes, right? So crashes you want to use to accent things or to let everybody know where 1 is. That's what I use crashes for when I play with my band. That's what I use crashes for, is to accent different things that I want to hit, or if it's just tempting I go, ooh, shiny, and I hit it right. But other than that, you would use crashes to accent things specifically in the song. Like if there's a guitar part that's like bum bum bum, then you might go like bum bum bum, you know what I mean? Or you could use them to signify where 1 is. And I think that's a really good thing to do in this song. Since there's not a whole lot of crashes, anytime that you hear 1, or you're saying like 1, feel free to put a crash there. So like 1, 1, 2, 3, right? That's just going to give you an extra layer of depth and help you with those transitions from beat to beat. So instead of it just having like this dead air and it's straight transitions, and a lot of professional drummers will use crashes and fills to transition to the next beat, they'll use them to say like, okay, I did this part, now I'm transitioning to this part, right? So that's where you would use crashes and stuff like that. So if you feel like you hear a crash somewhere, like on a 1, or if you just want to hit the crash, go for it. It's totally optional. Like I said, there's not really any crashes in this song, but music theory tells us that we should crash on 1 to let everybody know that that's the new part, right? So if you see me crash in the song and I'm just playing it and I crash, that's me just doing the professional drummer thing and the correct music theory thing and crashing on 1 like I'm supposed to. Kind of a hard habit to break, especially when you've been doing it for so long, but it doesn't hurt the song in any way. If anything, it takes it up another level. So just letting you know that. Besides the point, let's go back to that 8th measure. That 8th measure is going to go like this. So it's a swung double kick. It's swung almost like bass and bass and bass and bass and bass, right? That's kind of like the groove I'm getting from it. So it's swung a little bit, right? It's not like, it's like, that's the rhythm that I'm kind of getting. So that's just going to be bass, snare, bass, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare. Right? So that bass, if it's a little bit too quick, you can just do a regular one. That's that 8th measure, and then like I said, we transition into the chorus from that. So let me go ahead and just show you that next chorus and then the guitar solo. Okay, so that break there, let me just play it for you guys one more time. It's gonna go like this. So after that chorus is this. Into the solo, right? So the way that beat's gonna be played is like this. So you have bass, flam, bass, bass, flam, bass, flam, bass, flam. Bass, flam, bass, bass, flam, bass, flam, bass, flam, bass, flam, bass, bass, flam, bass, flam, bass, flam. And then you just take that and move it over to the hi-hat. So the beat after that is going to go like this. So that's going to go bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, and bass, snare, bass, snare. Bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, and bass, snare, bass, snare. Bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, and bass, snare, bass, snare. One more time. Bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, and bass, snare, bass, snare. Bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, and bass, snare, bass, snare. After we do that, a total of 4 times, then we're into the solo. So 2, 3, 4, 1. So, as you saw right there, the solo is literally just bass snare the whole time. So and we're going to hold that for 8 measures, and then after that 8's done, we're going to go back into the verse beat like you saw me play. So we play that again for 8 measures, but this time the ending for this verse is going to be different. Let me go ahead and show you that. So the new ending for this verse is going to go like this. So let's just skip straight to the 8th measure. So 8, and then we're going to crash into the chorus again. Okay, so all we're doing there is 2 sets of bass snare. So bass, snare, flam. Bass, snare, flam. And then we have a 4 count, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's how you would count that, okay? So the whole thing would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the chorus again. And then that chorus is going to be the last one for the song, okay? And then we just have to go over the outro. So I'm going to go ahead and back it up a little bit and play that transition for you guys one more time, and then we'll get into that chorus, okay? Here we go. So I'm going to back it up to 210, play that verse for you guys, and then play the last chorus, and then we'll do the outro, cover it for you guys, and then that's the song. So here we go. 210. and that's the song. So a lot of that you saw is the same parts already, just with a couple different things at the very, very, very end. So let me just go ahead and quickly recap all those for you guys right now. At the end of the chorus, we have an extra 2 measures of the bass snare beat on the ride. So just another 2 measures of this. 2. And then we're back into the verse for 4. And the first 2 we're going to play like normal. 2. And then on the third one, we're just going to do bass snare. And then on the fourth one, we're going to do everything together, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, okay? So all that comes together for the fourth measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, okay? And then for the very last 2, all we're doing is the same verse beat again, twice, like we did in the very first 2, so 2. And then we end with the flam, very similar to how we did that. Same kind of sticking pattern, same all that stuff there. All we're doing is changing where it goes. So that very last measure goes like this. And that's the song. So that was Last Night by The Strokes. Like I said, it's a pretty simple song. It's really good for like that late beginner, early intermediate stage if you're just getting used to doing fills and independent bass, that kind of stuff. So this song is perfect for that. You can take it as far as you want, or you can just play it like normal. Honestly, that way is still really, really fun. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, I would consider pressing that big red button down there that says subscribe. Tell us if you want a specific song. Always looking for recommendations for songs. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.